All right, everybody. You already know what it is. It's TITOKMF here live on twitch.tv/TITOKMF. And if you haven't guessed it, that's me, the Mayor of Route 1, Mr. Up All Night, your favorite commentator's favorite commentator, your 8th favorite streamer. I already know who it is, the Bit God. And we're here with not only that, but you all see the chat over there. They're going to be wilding over there, so I'm not responsible for anything these guys say. So, whatever. Here we are once again with another video, and we're actually going to go ahead and talk to the chat. We're going to have a little bit of conversation. Shouldn't be too long. We're going to go ahead and rank all of the Pokemon in Pokemon Unite we're going to create a little bit of a scale here. So, you guys need to pay attention if you want the context, okay? A big thing about Pokemon Unite is the fact that multiple characters provide very unique things. There's a lot of character diversity in the fact that not really any two characters do the exact same thing. That in mind, okay, we're going to create actually two versions of this tier list. We're going to create an overall tier list, okay, that allows us to rate every character overall about whether or not you should be picking them, especially in as you head towards High Ultra or anywhere in Master. But we're also going to be ranking them within their respective tiers, or their roles rather. So we're going to be doing a little bit of both, but we're first going to start with the actual roles here. So as you guys know, we have the 5 roles, and for those of you who are unaware, I'll put the link to the description below. We have Pokemon on Cerebi. They've gathered all of this data for each and every Pokemon, and it's pretty great. So you guys can just go ahead and click each and every one. You guys can see they'll have the stats, they'll have everything like that. So no excuse. I don't know why the game doesn't tell you this anyway, but whatever, we'll get to that another day. So go ahead and check that out. The link will be in the description below. I know the chat over here roasting y'all because you know where you should be here live on Twitch with me. Instead you are literally in the future, but it's our past because we have already lived this and you're living it now. So your future, or your present, which is our future, is now actually our past because we've already done this. So y'all know what I'm saying? Anyway, so if you guys see it, we have a couple of different roles here: attacker, all-arounder, supporter, defender, and speedster. Those are your 5 tiers. So we're actually going to go ahead and make one for each one. So this will be speedster. We'll make this all-arounder. We'll make this a defender. We'll make this attacker. And we will make this support. Yep. Alright, so now we're going to put each of them into their respective class. So I think, I forget what Greninja technically is. He's an attacker, okay. Where's Talonflame? Talonflame. Am I forgetting anybody else? Oh, Zeroa, right. Zeroa. I don't really pay attention to these that much because, whatever. Also, in case you guys are wondering who I'm in Master right now, and it's not that hard to get in Master, but I kind of know what I'm doing. Alright, all-arounder, that would be Charizard, that would be Lucario, Machamp, I think it's Garchomp too, right? That's Charizard. Charizard is... Why do I feel like Charizard's an attacker when I know he's not? Yeah, he's not. So, am I missing anybody? I think I got everybody. Alright, cool. Defenders. Right now we only got 3 because this is pre-Blastoise. Alright, attackers would be Gardevoir. Here. You. And you. And you. And I believe Ninetales is technically also an attacker, but I feel like she could definitely be a supporter if she wanted to. Alright. So. Did the chat. Alright, testing the chat just to make sure it works. Alright, we're back. So we're gonna tier them, rank them within the individual tiers, alright? So first, we'll start with the speedsters. Right now, with the Gengar nerfs that recently just happened, we're actually seeing a lot less Gengar, but you weren't even really seeing that much Gengar in Master before the patch because people understand how to play around that character. I will say, though, that what you're seeing a lot more is a lot more Absol. So what I will say, even though Talonflame's still buffed, I think Talonflame and Gengar are around the same. And I think as well, you're seeing a lot equal parts Absol, equal parts of Zero, but I do think you're seeing a little bit more Absol up top. So I will say that Absol will probably be the best speedster at the moment, especially with his recent buffs. He was already doing crazy damage before, but now he's just doing so much damage. It's not even really fair so how much damage he's doing. So we're actually gonna go ahead and use a different beat here. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, so those are the beats, or excuse me, those are the I think the relative order. I still think Talonflame isn't really used as much as he could be. The jury's still out. I'm just going by not only general team composition, but how they fit overall. His ult, Talonflame's ult, is really good for peeling, obviously. It's long range and can come off screen. But the problem is with Talonflame is that anything Talonflame can do, Absol basically does better. Talonflame does a lot of on-hit damage, especially with things like Fly, Aerial Ace, things like that. And it is doing a lot of auto-attack damage as well. But the crits coming in from Absol are just pretty crazy. So, unfortunately, I think that if you're going to play Talonflame, you might as well just play Absol here. So, we're gonna head over to the all-arounders. Lucario's still kind of crazy, probably one of the top 3 best characters in the game right now, so I would still definitely clearly put him at the top. Charizard and Machamp are pretty much neck and neck in my opinion. I think they're both equally strong. They both do a couple of really interesting things. I do think more people are understanding how good Charizard is overall, so we're gonna go ahead and actually put them right next to each other. And then Garchomp is still awful, unfortunately. So I really think that they did Garchomp real bad. So I'm sorry for Garchomp, but this character is not good. Defender, I still think Snorlax is probably the best defender overall. He fits in a lot more team compositions than Snorlax, because you can't really necessarily see a lot. You can't see the opposing team. Slowbro's really good into certain picks, right? Excuse me. A lot of speedster like double speedster comps or double rushdown comps where you have things like Absol, Absol Lucario, or even something like if you have Lucario and Machamp on the board on your opposing team, you're gonna get a lot of mileage out of block. And it's just going to be able to help you peel, and it really depends on your DPS, right? If you're running Gardevoir in the back, you're probably going to want Slowbro, actually, because Slowbro has a lot more CC than Snorlax, and even though block is absolutely busted and unfair and uninteractable in a lot of times, because of the prevalence of Wigglytuff, being able to kind of mitigate a little bit of that, Slowbro's seeing a lot more play. Additionally, Slowbro's ultimate is a lot better than Snorlax. Snorlax, although he has an AoE knockup, Slowbro with the ability to basically suppress somebody even if they're unstoppable is becoming better and better. So I would say that although overall I think Slowbro is weaker, I think in a lot of team compositions, especially the ones that you're seeing at High Master, you're seeing a pretty even split between Snorlax and Slowbro. And Crustle is also there if you want to have fun and don't care about winning. All right. We're actually going to skip attackers right now because we're going to head straight to supporters because there's less of them. I really think that the best supporter right now in the game is Wigglytuff. And I think it's close, but not close enough for me to say that it's super close. I think that Wigglytuff's super crazy tankiness that she got, and for reference here, let's actually go to Wigglytuff here. You guys can see a lot of Wigglytuff stats and how incredible she is. So she has at level 15, this is without any buffs to her HP or anything like that she gets from items. She would get 9,452 HP, 539 defense, and 482 special defense. Conversely, if I were to find another... where's Snorlax here? If we were to find Slowbro as well as Snorlax here, Slowbro has 489, which has a little bit more HP, has about 400 or so more HP, but has less special defense and less defense. So, or excuse me, more defense and less special defense than Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff has 539, Slowbro has 580, or Snorlax has 580, but if you go to Slowbro as well, Slowbro has basically 52 exactly less HP than Wigglytuff. Has comparable special has comparable what do you call it, HP, but if you look at special defense and defense, you have 421 on Slowbro, but you have 539 on defense for Wigglytuff. You have 482 special defense on Wigglytuff and 360. So Wigglytuff is actually tankier than Slowbro in terms of raw stats. It's actually insane how crazy Wigglytuff got buffed. That being the case of why I make her the best support at the moment is because now she is a suitable double tank. She can actually, if you're playing in solo queue a lot, and none of your opponents wants to be able to tank, if you build a Wigglytuff, you're basically also a tank and a support. Her gank support is infinitely better than Eldegoss at the moment. And I think that their ults are comparable in the sense where even though Eldegoss does give the consistent healing and shield, she's the only character in the game that gives healing. But she circumvents that by being really squishy, so you need to run a tank. Obviously, with Wigglytuff, you can afford to just run a couple more bruisers and not run a straight tank if you wanted to. Not saying that's optimal, but you have the option with Wigglytuff where you don't really have the option with Eldegoss. I will say, I think the levels 1 to 5 or 6 in the early laning phase, so basically everything before Dreadnought, Wigglytuff is stronger with Sing. Also, her wave clear is some of the best in the game early, to secure things like bees and get early captures on all the APOMs on the way to lane, because Pound does the most damage of anything basically. So you're able to quickly get to lane, as opposed to Eldegoss, which takes a little bit more of a passive role and just trying to keep your team alive. Eldegoss, I think, is good, but I think the difference is that Eldegoss doesn't necessarily it's the difference between stops you from losing, and Wigglytuff, which is pressing you to win. I think it's more a Wigglytuff, it's easier to punish. Obviously, she has built-in CC, which Eldegoss doesn't really have other than ultimate. She has slow CC with the Leaf Tornado, but that's if you take Leaf Tornado. Wigglytuff has CC on literally on all of her moves other than a Dazzling Gleam. And then again, the ultimate being able to make your team unstoppable is kind of crazy, as well as the AoE shield plus Buddy Barrier. So I would actually really honestly make the case that Wigglytuff is the best support in the game at the moment. And I think that she is definitely, and we'll get to it later, one of the top Pokemon at the moment, given the fact that her stats are stupid. But Eldegoss is still good. If you want to play Eldegoss, you're good. But just the nerfs didn't necessarily cripple her, but it was more the buffs to Wigglytuff that made Wigglytuff kind of crazy. All right, we're going to go to attackers here. So the attackers here, I'm going to speak from someone who plays a lot of high ultra master players, where people know how to like not die, and people know how to be able to do this effectively and play team cups effectively. We're going to go ahead and do this probably from the back forth. All of these attackers are good. And that's the truth. All of these attackers are incredible, and they do very, very different things. So I'm actually not going to say any of these are particularly bad, and I'm actually kind of apprehensive to order them because they all do incredibly different things. However, I do think in a lot of team compositions, I will put characters higher, quote unquote, when they're more plug and play, where they fit into multiple team compositions. I still think Cinderace is top 1 or 2 at the moment. I still think Cinderace is absolutely incredible. His kit is stupid crazy still. And still really, really, really snowbally in terms of being able to stay out of fights. I do think some other high points. I do think that the Venusaur buffs actually helped Venusaur a lot. You're seeing a lot more Venusaur in high master play. And I think that one of the things that made Venusaur a little bit more of a threat was, again, the damage to Sludge Bomb. And now that you have that, it's a little bit easier, especially when you're Ivysaur around those middling levels, to be able to actually team fight effectively around things like Dreadnought, stuff like that. People still take Solar Beam, and Solar Beam is kind of hilarious. So, again, I'm kind of hesitant to order this. Some characters that I think that are still very good, just not played as much. Not many people playing Pikachu right now. Which I think is unfortunate, because I still think that character is very, very good. I think the ultimate though was a little lacking, and I think that's why people kind of hesitate away from this character. The ultimate just feels not very satisfying to hit. It doesn't feel like it necessarily works, and it just kind of makes me miss, for those of you who play previous versions available to the game, things like the beta, the open beta, as well as the super duper early alpha. Pikachu was kind of crazy in those versions. I still think though Pikachu has the best level 3 of any attacker, which will basically negate him being at the bottom, especially since Cramorant got a nerf to Whirlpool, which reduces the damage. I do think Cramorant is on the lower end. So we're gonna go ahead and just start doing this. I do think, unfortunately, Cramorant, Venusaur, and Pikachu are still around here somewhere. I will probably order it like this. And the main reason for that is that the reason why Cramorant was so good, was the ability to really oppress early and poke early in team fights, and punish people who are playing double melee compositions. But what you're seeing a lot in lanes now is you're seeing one melee, one ranged, or even double range in a lot of these lanes. Things like Gardevoir, Ninetales, you're seeing, or Wigglytuff, Slowbro, things like that can basically tank the hits, or have the movement speed to get away. Again, the problem with Cramorant is that you're pretty immobile and you don't have a lot of movement speed to get away from things like that, as well as everything is basically a skill shot. So I do think Cramorant is good. All of these attackers are good. I just think in general, especially when you're solo queuing or even when you're playing as 5, Cramorant might be like a flex pick. You wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards first locking Cramorant. Same thing with Venusaur. Even though I think Venusaur is definitely a lot better, I do think that Venusaur is one of those Pokemon where you would never pick it as a primary attacker, more like a secondary attacker, especially if you're a jungler, if you're playing, a little bit more damage heavy. I think it's pretty good, especially with the buffs to the ultimate. I just don't think the kit's very good. I think that's the problem with Venusaur, and that's my personal opinion. I don't necessarily see the kit doing anything crazy, unfortunately. Solar Beam is cool. The ultimate is pretty cool when it hits, but with things like Eldegoss, things like Wigglytuff, a lot of these characters, almost everybody's running a buddy barrier now. Being able to consistently shield your team, I just don't think Venusaur has a good kit. That's really it. I don't think it's a numbers issue. I think it's a kit issue, unfortunately. Let's go to... And this is where it kind of gets rough, because I do think that Pikachu, Ninetales, Greninja, Gardevoir are kind of all in the same boat. I actually think that it's between, for the bottom 3, and I'm using that very loosely, Greninja and Pikachu are towards the bottom. And again, I think it's both of them. They have a deal with the same thing, is that their ultimates are lacking. I would actually put Pikachu over Greninja. The reason being, I think Pikachu's early game is a lot better. I think Pikachu having the ability to CC and set up for ganks in lane is a lot better. And I understand one of them is a jungler. But even then, when you take Jungle Pikachu, which is a thing you can definitely do, Jungle Pikachu is perfectly fine. It's not obviously as good as a lot of other junglers. His clear is not particularly good. Definitely a better lane. But Electro Web is just busted. Electro Web is just kind of crazy, and then Electro Ball is even more crazy. It still stuns, or sorry, it does not stun or root, excuse me, like Electro Web, but Electro Ball is crazy. And it's the best poke in the game, and Thunderbolt is also insane. I think Electro Web Thunderbolt is obviously the play here, or yeah, I think it's Thunderbolt. Electro Ball Thunderbolt is obviously the play. You get so much CC from long range. Pikachu is basically a better version of Cramorant in a lot of ways. He doesn't do as much damage as Cramorant, obviously, but it's long range poking CC that you could just do for free. And he's mobile. He's a lot more mobile. If you wanted to take Volt Tackle, it's totally fine. But it is what it is. And Greninja, again, I think the problem is that the ultimate is a little bit lacking. I think it's definitely okay. I just think it's a little bit lacking. His kit is cool, a little bit kiting. Definitely a better jungler, but in terms of being a pure attacker, someone you would insta-lock, I definitely think you would pick Pikachu over Greninja. And again, that's my opinion based off of literally roughly over 100 hours in the game. So, Gardevoir, Ninetales, and Cinderace. Those are the other three that we want to talk about. Gardevoir has the best ultimate in the game, and I don't think it's close. Just for those of you who don't play MOBAs, any character with an ultimate like that, and there's one in every MOBA, is always good. It's always good. Zarya in HOTS, Orianna in League of Legends, the one guy in Dota who I can never remember, like he has like Eclipse or Black Hole, the guy with Black Hole, I think it's Void Walker, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. But regardless, it's the best ult in the game. The problem with Gardevoir is that obviously you don't get it until level 10, which is so late. But just like how Gengar gets worse the higher rank you go, Gardevoir gets better the higher rank you go. Gardevoir, and people play around Gardevoir a lot better now that they know how the character works and now that they know the character is a late game character. Gardevoir players play super safe now, almost to the point where it's unpunishable, because of the way turrets or goals work in this game. They're consistently at high HP, and they're usually, and what people are doing now is that they're usually partnered with someone who has EXP share, which makes it even quicker to get to level 10. In all honesty, you just want to hit level 10 by the time the second, excuse me, ideally, the second Dreadnought, somewhere around there, you should be able to hit level 10 if you're not feeding or like, somewhere around that particular time frame. And especially, and that'll go by even faster if you get the Dreadnought for yourself. If you're Curlia, you're good to fight, basically. If you have Psyshock or Future Sight, both are good options. I'm seeing Gardevoirs kind of decide between the both. I'm seeing a lot more Gardevoirs lean towards Future Sight, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately, but actually, because of the reset you get. But Psyshock is a pretty good, consistent way to get damage off. Again, the higher rank you get, the better Gardevoir is. And Gardevoir players are learning how to play this character safely to the point where they get to the level 10 and they get there. Definitely one of, if not the best late game characters in the game in terms of damage output. The ultimate is crazy. I do think this character is very, very, very good. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily better or worse. Definitely in the top 3 between Ninetales and Cinderace. Ninetales is one of, if not the most oppressive characters in lane. The passive ability that you get, along with the crazy amount of CC, as well as the high damage, the reason why she's one of the best attackers in the game is because of her oppressive laning phase. Additionally, she gets a lot of utility from things like Aurora Veil, from things like Dazzling Gleam as well, just a huge amount of CC, and other maneuverability within team fights because of the fact that her range is good too. She's able to kite very effectively, and she has good gank setup. She has good peel as well, and she has damage mitigation on Aurora Veil. There's not a lot this character does not do. This character is kind of over-tooled with her kit. It's just a lot. So Ninetales is kind of crazy. So Ninetales is definitely one of the top 3 best characters, best attackers in the game for sure. As well as Cinderace, the kit is just good. The nerf, although it was substantial, did make it less oppressive. You do have to farm a little bit more if we look at this now. The issue with Cinderace, and the reason why it will continuously be with an attack of 418 before any items, if you look at almost anything else, let's take Lucario here. It has an attack of 440, but Power Up Punch is kind of crazy. And then if we look at Absol as well, an attack of 620, but again, you're in melee range, so Absol actually does a stupid amount of damage. But the thing that makes Cinderace so good is his kit, in addition to being the only real AD carry in the game. Being the only character who does a majority of their damage via auto attack, the longer drawn out fights benefit Cinderace. Cinderace is really good at securing objectives by himself. being able to kite for himself with things like Feint, make it super crazy. Powerball getting buffed does help. Blaze Kick is still good. The ultimate is just as good. The only issue is that you're getting a little bit less damage per auto, which might make your clear if you're running jungle a little bit worse. But if you're running in lane, it's not that noticeable. It's not that crazy. A lot of Cinderaces were actually running, you know, 1 or 2 defensive items on Cinderace. If you circumvent that with another offensive item, like attack weight, probably not, or something like scope lens. If you weren't running it already, muscle band. You know, you have a couple of options here. So the float stone, the kit is just good. Feint is just busted. So it's gonna take a lot to really take this character out of being one of the top 3. I don't have him as the clear-cut best character, and I think there is a case for Ninetales, but in my opinion, Cinderace's kit is just too strong. So this is the when I download this chat. So that is per role. Now what we're going to do is that we're just going to do overall, best character in Pokemon Unite. What we're going to do is that we are going to do, we're going to break this down. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 characters. We're going to do a top 5 and then like a worst character in the game. Definitely. So we're going to try to do this, you know, by ideal team compositions. You guys have definitely heard of the meta picks. I think the meta pick is still actually the same. I think you can change some things in that meta pick, but I think we could definitely debate on that. So S, must, I'm going to pick, is this must pick? Can pick. Okay, sure. Trolling. And then if I have to use the D tier, you know, then we'll use it. All right. So for must picks right now in Pokemon Unite, for part 2 of this video, definitely Ninetales is up there. Ninetales is one of the best Pokemon in the game. That hasn't changed, and it probably won't for a very, very, very long time. Same thing with Snorlax. Snorlax is still the best defender overall in the game. You can switch this with Slowbro and it still be good. However, you probably won't get as much mileage. Snorlax is just, block is busted. There will be a lot of situations where you're going to wish you had Snorlax. Snorlax is more, but I think Slowbro is really good. I think people are understanding how busted Surf Plus is, having a triple knockup. Which is something that obviously Snorlax does not have. But Snorlax is just very, very, very good. Lucario is a must pick in the top 5. Lucario is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I still think that Cinderace is a top 5 character in the game. Again, like I just said, the graph is just too, the kid is just too busted. Too busted. Now, formerly this was an Eldegoss slot. I actually think you replace Eldegoss here with Wigglytuff. I think Wigglytuff is one of the top 5 best characters in the game. It provides the quote-unquote meta team with an additional tank, an additional front line for Incineroar and Ninetales to peel from. It provides more CC than Eldegoss was able to provide. It provides an overall better team composition with the ultimate. Because although you do get the healing from Eldegoss with a lot of abilities as well as her ultimate, the issue that you find a lot in a lot of team fights here is CC training. And Wigglytuff negates that with her ultimate. So Wigglytuff being able to create a situation where your Ninetales and your Lucario, as well as your Snorlax, are uninhibited by crowd control, especially your Lucario, that allows your Cinderace to kind of roam free with Feint. I think that is more of a game-changing ultimate. I think it's the best supporting ultimate in the game, and you guys can disagree, but I feel like this is the top 5 best characters in the game, regardless. Can pick are definitely characters like Machamp is very good. There's a lot of good characters in this game. Absol for sure, Charizard for sure. We're just gonna go through this very quickly. Slowbro for sure you can pick. And as well, Eldegoss, for sure you can pick. This is a completely fine team composition. You might not want to run Machamp and Absol, so I might add another character here. Probably Gardevoir. Actually. So your team composition could definitely be Eldegoss, Gardevoir, Slowbro, Charizard, and either Absol or Machamp. And I would say that's a pretty good team composition. Okay, sure. This would be Pikachu, Gakoga, Cramorant, Gengar, Mr. Mime, Talonflame. I still think you're trolling here. I really do. I don't, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's nothing to me that Crustle provides in a team composition that the other two defenders do not. Additionally, if you guys have ever played League of Legends, Crustle is essentially Singed in every way. Singed is a character in League of Legends that kind of does a lot of the same thing Crustle does. He runs around the map, scores points, or does tower damage in League's case. He just kind of disrupts, and he just kind of walks around and just is unkillable, and it's just annoying. It's just an annoying character, but doesn't necessarily provide anything to an overall team composition, right? Whereas Slowbro and Snorlax definitely do. They definitely do. Garchomp is just awful. It's unfortunate. I really wish that they would buff Garchomp in any way, because that character just needs a lot of help. These aren't ordered in any particular way. I definitely think still good. Must pick. Can pick. Still good trolling. So I think this is it. I think this is a pretty good... I really honestly, I've been thinking about it a lot, and honestly, after all of the games that I've played, I think this is an additional really good tier list. Again, I'll put a screenshot of these at the bottom for you guys of the video, but I think the best 5 characters in this game are in no particular order, and the best overall team composition is Ninetales, Snorlax, Lucario, Cinderace, Wigglytuff. I really do. And again, that's just because the buffs that Wigglytuff got were absolutely absurd. It's just crazy. All of this to say, other than Garchomp, unfortunately, no character in this game is unplayable. I think every character in this game, for the most part, has a purpose and serves a role. And you can definitely win and have fun with any of these characters if you have good team communication, if you play your team fights correctly, as well as if you do what you need to do in terms of securing objectives. All of these characters are super fun and unique, but I do think it's important to understand that some characters have just better kits than others. And in a game as simple and at times shallow as Pokemon Unite, it all is going to come down to what can each character do in conjunction with other characters on him and on his or her team. Especially around objective-based games, characters that can effectively not only secure objectives, but characters that can win team fights are going to be the best characters. If you notice, a lot of the best characters in the game have either incredibly game-breaking regular abilities or have ultimates that can switch or secure a fight. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want to be like these dorks over here in the chat, go ahead and hit me up at twitch.tv/TITOKMF. All my links will be down there in the description. I appreciate y'all. Chat, say goodbye to everybody. Make sure you go ahead and do a couple of things. Hit up All Night on Spotify. Hit up Route 1 on Spotify and iTunes, and Up All Night is obviously available. Make sure you guys go ahead and again come to the channel, hang out with us. We play a lot of Unite. We play Masters games, and then we actually open up on different accounts and we go ahead and play with the chat. So as the chat is continuing to say goodbye to you guys, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Again, this is basically my opinion as of August 8th. So it might change tomorrow, but at the moment, this is where I think the state of Pokemon Unite is in terms of its characters. I appreciate y'all, and we out.